Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs Podcast, presented by Toyota, we are cross-pollinating Cubs Podcast. That's right, the setup guy will join us on the show today, plus a Cubs comparison. You'll either love it or you'll hate it. And another special guest live in studio. He will tell us how you can change lives. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by our great friends at Toyota. It is Wednesday, January 28th. It is freezing cold, and we have not one, but two great guests today, one remotely and one here in studio. And we have, are you ready for it?
Tell me.
Right off the top.
Tell me the good news.
Are you ready? In addition to Becky telling us she made snow angels yesterday, we have breaking news on the CHGO Cubs Podcast. No, the Cubs haven't signed Zac Gallen just yet.
No, this is more about us.
This is about us.
This is a me thing.
And us getting out of here.
Yes.
CHGO Road Trip to Spring Training is officially set up, presented by our friends at Shady Rays. Put on those Shady Rays, the polarized shades that everybody loves. So durable, so dependable, and backed by great friends. Spring training trip coming up with CHGO Cubs. Get ready to sign up for it. It is March 5th through March 8th. And there's a lot to it. There's layers to it, guys. There's Cubs games we can go to. There's a Bulls game we can go to. There's a golf outing we're going to throw while we're out there. And I don't want to make too much of a big deal, but I like lavish gifts, and it is my birthday while we're out there. So start planning accordingly and bring the presents.
Roll out the red carpet. Come hang out with us in Arizona. It's going to be warm. There's going to be Cubs baseball, World Baseball Classic going on, as you mentioned, the golfing event. Maybe a quick little like AMA, Q&A with us. Hang out, happy hour, chicken tenders.
And if it's rainy, then we'll go to the AMC Theater.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
I thought that's what you're going to say.
Big bucket of popcorn.
Oh, man, I love some popcorn. All right, we're going to, like I said, two great guests. We have a Cubs comparison for you. We have more lists to talk about. But first, we want to bring in our first guest, who I believe this is first time on the show, but we've met and we've had a good time and we've talked and we've done stuff together. You could find him on a great podcast. The setup guy, Kyle, is here from beautiful, sunny California. Kyle,
what's up,
how you
guys?
doing, bud?
Second time on CHGO. You weren't there the first time.
That's it. And if I wasn't there, it didn't count, Kyle.
Yeah, it didn't count. But no, excited to be back. Thanks for the opportunity, guys.
How's your off season been, first of all?
Well, we've got an 8-month-old and a soon-to-be 3-year-old. So, Luke, you know a little bit about that lifestyle. Lots of no sleep and just trying to keep up with good content while also trying to bring home the bread for the family. So it's been busy. But I've been very excited for what's going on with the Cubs. It's been fun.
How about it, right? Like when you're like, oh man, maybe this is going to be one of those boring old Cubs winters when it's just Daniel Descalso, or I get excited about Eric Sogard. I can finally just concentrate on being a father. No, Kyle. It's been a last couple, like we got frustrated. I just want to ask you, let's start off there. Like, where was your frustration level at, around Christmas time? Because I think every Cubs fan is digesting it a different way, right? Were you trying to be patient with yourself? I believe Ched's going to make a move, or were you starting to get frustrated, and then we'll work our way into the active last 3 weeks of this Cubs offseason?
I always call myself a realist. I'm not an optimist. I'm not exactly a realist. I'm definitely not like a skeptic or cynicist, however you say, cynic. Yeah. But I'm just like always very realistic. And I went into this offseason saying this is going to be a C- offseason. Like they're going to be okay with losing Kyle Tucker. They're going to be okay with Owen Casey starting right field. I guess I got to just get used to being okay with that. And they're not going to go get a big bat to replace Tucker. And maybe they'll get a starting pitcher, but then again, they might just put their hat on the fact that Jackson Wiggins and Justin Steele will be coming in mid-season. So I expected all the bullpen stuff. So by the time Christmas came along, I was frustrated because I was kind of proving myself right. Mm-hmm. And then they go and do the Cabrera and Bregman in the same week. And I'm just like, this is exceeded expectations. Jed exceeded my expectations.
That's right. For once, exceeding expectations is a phrase I like to hear.
Hitting
right?
the projections, Jed.
I'm all for it. Hey, I got a question just off the top because I know this, but not everybody will know this. First of all, I've listened to your podcast, The Setup Man. It's great. What made you want to start a Cubs podcast? And we've tried to make it so that I've met you out at Murphy's and Cody had been on, and I just feel like there's room for everybody, So what made you think to yourself, you know what, I want to do a Cubs podcast and I want to make it a thing while also doing some other stuff?
I'll give you the 5,000 foot overview. I'm a real estate professional. And for the first time in my life, I was like, hey, I have some free time and finances that allow me to be able to say, what passion projects do I want to follow? When I was right out of college, I was a sports anchor for a local TV station in Grand Junction, Colorado. Funny side story. My very first month there, I got to meet Bryce Harper at the Grand Junction World Series, which was super cool. 17-year-old at the time. Anyway, I just decided like, hey, for once I want to do something without the pressure of having to get paid and just have fun with it. And that's exactly what it's been. Do we put in all of the 100% effort like you guys do with production value and everything? No, but we have a crap ton of fun doing it. And at the end of the day, it's something that I need Cubs therapy. Honestly, it happened because my wife and I were on a bike ride in 2022 and I was furious about a Cubs loss. And she's like, you need to like find a way to blow steam off because like it's carrying over our bike ride now. And I'm like, you know what? I think like speaking into a mic about this would be some good therapy for me. and it has been. It's really leveled me out.
I love that Cubs anger is what fueled you to do a podcast. And I always like to tell the story that my first Cubs game I ever went to, I got stung by a bee and a seagull crapped on my Little League hat. And it was like, listen, this is where we start from. There's only one way to go. And finally we got there in 2016.
Honey, if you say Steve Cishak one more time, I'm going to lose it if you talk about the setup, man. And also like, personally for me with my wife, because she's from Pittsburgh, Kyle, is when I told her that I bought a one-way ticket to Chicago in 2016 at the beginning of the playoffs for the World Series, she thought I was never coming back. And I was like, you don't understand. And I had to explain to her, like, this is like the joy of my life. There was no way I wouldn't be in the city for 2016. So we have to like kind of explain our sickness to the normies out there.
Were you married?
And we can use microphones sometimes.
You were married and you remained married after that?
Exactly.
She literally was like,
she's an angel.
She thought I was like, you're going to some kind of Mardi Gras. And I'm like, it is, but it also might break my heart. And I was like, I promise I will come back if they win. And so she was watching in LA, just like hoping that the Cubs would win, because if they lost, she didn't know if I was going to come back. So that's the sickness we live with.
That sounds like a very loyal / maybe like just super trusting wife there. So that's cool.
The best. Yeah, she's a Steelers fan too. So there's that there's that vibe going there too.
Hey Kyle, so basically, a lot of people were wondering where the Cubs would make their improvements, and there was a lot of talk about third base before it happened, and I really didn't think they were going to do it because I thought, like you saying C-, I thought to myself, they've got cost-controlled third base. Now there's very little certainty in that third base because we saw highs and we saw lows and we saw super lows. And it was like, well, I can't guarantee which Matt Shaw is going to come back, but they do have a guy that has shown he can play it defensively at a super high level. And whether or not the bat comes back, we don't know, but he's cost effective and they can save money there. I didn't think they'd do the Bregman deal. I'm shocked they got it done. So now that it's done, How did you feel about third base? And now how do you feel about the way the Cubs will move forward with third base and apparently Matt Shaw?
I was just talking to David Kaplan about this. We had him on the show last week. And, I asked him, do you think that Matt Shaw, Alex Bregman, and Nico Horner will be on the 26-man roster to start the season? And he said, yes, I do. And I said, good, because that's what I want. I mean, Matt Shaw being a super utility, whatever you want to call him, bench piece / get 2 starts a week, is just such an amazing luxury for the Cubs to have now. You take a guy who is a Gold Glove finalist and you say, I can plug him in at third base, I can plug him in at second base, and if he can do it really well at spring training, now start thinking about maybe an outfield spot to relieve some guys or to be an even better option as a 4th / 5th outfielder. I just think that that's such a big luxury that we have not seen since Javi and since Zobrist and Bryant. And that's got me fired up. From just a logistical, the way that the Cubs look at things, they improved on wins, right? Like they took a basically 1.5 WAR guy at third base and they turned him into a mid-4 WAR guy at third base. And that's about the same number of wins as you get from Kyle Tucker, according to Fangraphs. So they did the job of replacing the bat, but they also just made this lineup and this bench so much more exciting. If a guy needs a day off, if a guy gets injured, if all those ifs, we now say it's cool. We got Matt Shaw. Whereas last year, what if Nico goes down? We didn't really know the answer to that.
Right. And we were, doing segments on John Birdie and Vidal Brujan, well, yeah, you know what I mean? And just trying to
Madrigal.
Yeah. Can these guys, help you? And sometimes those 100 to 200 at bats, they don't carry a season, but when you're in it every single day and you're trying to win every single game to the best of your ability, that stuff shows up every once in a while. To move it further on Bregman, Kyle, what are you buying and selling from him offensively, right? Like, I don't think he's the player in Houston that he was in 2018. I don't think anyone's going to pretend that that's the case. I don't know what your belief system is or your faith is in Zips projections, but Zips came out with their Fangraphs projections the other day, and they don't really like Alex Bregman a whole lot. They think he's going to hit about 240 with an OPS around 730. Both would definitely be career lows for him. Other people feel, can Alex Bregman's offensive profile translate over to Wrigley Field? And everything else seems to, there's some detraction to it. Are you buying and selling any of that? Or are you as high on Alex Bregman offensively as I am? Because I think he's going to override all of that as a true pro that drives in some huge runs for us in the middle of the lineup this year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think Alex Bregman should be looked at the same as Kyle Tucker coming in as like this offensive savior. I mean, when you look at his career, I'm looking at it right now. He had that one monster year in 2019 where he was, and 2018 was a massive year too. He got some MVP votes, right? End up second in MVP in 2019. After that, right, like everything is pretty much from high 7 to low 800 OPS since 2020. And that's kind of what you're expecting, but with better at bats, with better contact, with better clubhouse leadership. I mean, I kind of didn't really want to buy into that just because I was still bitter about the whole cheating scandal. But the more you hear, like the more you just really like what you're hearing about how he helps guys to level up. The whole thing that Jed said at CubsCon about the day after that he got signed, he's asking for a report on every single guy so he can reach out and see how he can help. When in the world have you ever heard that from a guy? Like that's fun. So am I thinking he's going to be an offensive savior? No, I don't think so. Am I thinking he's going to be a offensive staple? Yeah. But I also don't think that he's a guy that puts fear into pitchers' hearts like Kyle Tucker potentially did. So you're going to need to see some guys just step up a little bit more, not step up like they had to do in 2024 when there was not a superstar, but there's going to be a little bit more of a step up. I think that's needed from the core guys like Seiya, Happ, PCA, Bush, compared to last year when Kyle Tucker could help you in the first half of the season to scare and to get that fear into the hearts of the other pitcher. So I think though for me, like, not to ramble too much, I'm just overall excited about him as an overall player and what he's going to bring to the clubhouse.
I like adding good players, and I like adding good players that bring some certainty to my franchise because there's so much uncertainty in a baseball season. I would say this, he's not offensively, as you said, what Kyle Tucker was the first half of the season. You're not going to get that season out of Bregman, but he's better defensively at his position than Kyle Tucker was. And it is the best I have felt about third base since Chris Bryant was here. And I'm not saying that just Bregman. I'm saying the combo of Bregman and Shaw and anybody else that might play there a little bit next year, that's the most certain I felt. I never really believed that Morel could play third base. I never thought Madrigal was going to take the position. I wasn't sure going into last season it was a wise idea to be like, hey, Matt Shaw, what the heck? Here's third base.
500 at bat.
Go ahead and go for it. He doesn't have to be an MVP next year, Bregman. Now, he might be the best player on the Cubs, but I don't even know about that. I just like that he's giving us some certainty and comfort going into the season. And because he moved a younger player aside, we have a backup plan. And like you said, when's the last time we had a backup plan? We didn't have a plan at third base, let alone a backup plan. So in that way, I think he lifts the Cubs up potentially more than even adding Kyle Tucker to right field. I mean, yes, the way it turned out, but Kyle Tucker wasn't necessarily the fit we needed as much as we needed to really lock down third base. Do you agree with any of that?
Yeah, look, and I think the thing about it, Kyle, is the thing that we can't project, and it's hard for us as fans because we care about stats, we care about wins, and we care about the enjoyment of a Cubs season, and that's just going as deep as possible. But for the players, I think the thing that's yet to be seen is all the stuff that Bregman's going to bring to the table that isn't necessarily RBIs and home runs. And we'll never know what happened with Kyle Tucker, right? When he fractures his finger, things go a little south. What was that communication like? Some other players around him in the lineup that flourished in the first half kind of started to fall by the wayside. Yeah. There's going to be a leadership intangible quality with Alex Bregman that we can't put a finger on right now. But I have to believe over a long season, it's going to make the Cubs better. And that's what I want to believe in right now, even though if I can't put my fingers onto it right now.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Please.
Where does he bat in the lineup? Or where do you want him batting in the lineup?
We're going to hold that question for the next segment. Where do we all think he's going to bat? We're talking the setup man, Kyle, right here on the CHGO Cubs Podcast. Question for you. What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep that Wi-Fi at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even know that they're there, like super intelligent Wi-Fi, a sixth sense, if you will. I'm telling you, this is what lets you stream the game while also your family's off streaming everything else online. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 straight years. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment is included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi should stay reliable and the price should stay put. Lock in your price. Unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply.
Luke, it's January 28th. This is the longest month on the planet right now, and you just got to change the viewpoint, right? You got to get out of town, and if you're planning your next weekend or maybe your next big night out, why not make it at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee, because it's got everything that you need in one spot. Talking thousands of the latest slots and table games. Are you ready to refuel, people? You've got a ton of amazing restaurants and bars to choose from, and whether you're feeling fancy or just want a quick bite, they've got you covered so you don't even need to leave the property. You stay in style at their luxury hotel, plus just steps away from the Midwest Best Sportsbook. Thinking about maybe going to a Bucks game or planning your next trip for Brewers Cubs? You could start your day at Potawatomi, hit the sportsbook, and then head out to the game. It's Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Your win is waiting, so go check it out today. Potawatomi, it's the perfect home base for all. It's super convenient. They got a full winter lineup also of concerts, festivals, sports, you name it. So Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Get out of town and go hang out there.
Baller. Welcome back to the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. We're talking to the setup man, our guy Kyle, who also does a great job talking Cubs baseball. Check out his podcast. And he asked us before the break, all right, where would you bat Mr. Alex Bregman? Joey, where would you bat Bregman in this lineup?
So the default that feels obvious to me right now is in that 2-hole. Why mess with a good thing when you're just replacing Tucker with Alex Bregman? I will say, though, Kyle, because it's January and it's freezing here, and maybe my brain isn't working. I mean, look, I think he can go in a lot of different directions. My big thing, if they didn't sign Bregman, my big question was who was going to be our 3-4-5? Yeah. Like, if you had Bush and Seiya in the 1-2 slot, was it going to be like Ian Happ, Moises Ballesteros, PCA? Does that really strike fear into the hearts of opposing pitchers? I had doubts about that. So you could easily slide Bregman in the 3-4-5. I'll tell you this. I'm going to say the 2-hole, but it wouldn't shock me if you saw Bregman in the 2-hole or even maybe as a leadoff hitter if you wanted to start moving some guys down and get Michael Bush some more RBI opportunities. Let's say a hit in the cleanup and then have a Bush, say a PCA 3-4-5. I wouldn't be against it because Bregman has a similar profile to Ian Happ. And what they liked about Ian Happ was he saw a lot of pitches, he got on base, and he gave you a professional at bat. I know you want your $35 million man to drive in 100 runs, but really at the end of the day, you just want to make the lineup that chain reaction that they had last year with Tucker in it. So I'm going to say default 2, but I wouldn't be shocked if he hit some leadoff. What say you?
I am rallying for him to be the leadoff hitter. Like that's what I want.
Guys.
Okay, tell me more.
Yeah. I need the CHGO Cubs reality spray for you too. Okay, go ahead. Tell us why, Kyle.
Listen, I mean, okay, first of all, we get into this off-season mode of like the lineup is going to be set this way, and we all know it doesn't work that way when the season actually starts. So Ian Happ was our leadoff hitter to start the season. Craig lost trust him from that position. Then eventually had Michael Bush. Michael Bush just, it felt like he was pretty good from leadoff position because he hit 16 home runs, and a lot of those were leadoff, but it's nice. A 311 on base, and with as much as he strikes out, I don't think that that's our leadoff guy. And then when you think about it, well, Nico's been tried at the leadoff spot as well. And the new type of leadoff hitter these days is not your speed contact guy. He's your, can we make it 1-0 right away kind of guy. And I just think that is Alex Bregman. And when you especially look at his career on base percentage is 365. That's already the best on the team. What else do you want outside of not having the stolen base threat, which, by the way, who cares? Put Nico at number 2. Then you got some stolen base threat right there in case he doesn't get on or in case Nico slaps a hit to right field and now it's 1st and 3rd with nobody out. And Michael Bush had the highest OPS on the team last year, 866. He had 1 at bat at the number 3 spot all of last year. You know what he did? He hit a double. So put him at the number 3 spot. Let's give him some more opportunities. And then, yeah, I love it. Say a PCA after that. I think that's a legit top 5 that can put 2-3 runs on the board right away.
Maybe Bregman could be our Biggio at the top of the lineup back in the day with the old Astros. Listen, I hadn't really thought about him. You guys have made a pretty good case. I hadn't really thought about him as a leadoff guy. I think most people think he'll bat second. But I think there's flexibility. I agree with you, Kyle, that there's flexibility in all of it. And we'll probably see him bat multiple places throughout the season. Now, the Godfather, Michael Collada, one of our all-time favorite diehards on the podcast, says something different. He likes Nico leading off, then Ian Happ, then Bregman batting 3rd, Bush, Suzuki, PCA, Swanson, Kelly. Listen, the good news is there's a lot of ways you could mix it, and we're paying our manager $8 million a year. I'm counting on him to know more than I do, and he will make the correct lineup. That's what I'm hoping for. And I don't think Bregman batting 1st would be terrible. I don't think batting Bregman 2nd would be terrible. I don't think, as long as he's one of the first 5 batters, I'm actually happy.
Yeah.
I because of the consistency. Again, I don't think he's going to hit 25 home runs at Wrigley Field, but he's a doubles machine. He gets on base, like you said. So whatever Craig Counsell thinks is best for the offense, that's what's going to have to happen. But if he's going to be lower than first or second, the only thing I hesitate on that is I do want a guy that will hit a few home runs. So that's the only reason I kind of like Seiya actually behind Bregman, or possibly Bush behind Bregman. But at times, Michael Bush was pretty good at leadoff. Nobody seems to want Ian Happ leadoff anymore. I
don't think Ian Happ wants to be at the leadoff position. I think
I think that's fair. And Kyle, man, like I think the three of us are old school enough where we have these preconceived notions of how a lineup is supposed to flow. And then I've at least bought into the fact that I can wrap my head around when analytics say you want your best players to get the most opportunities and the most plate appearances that you can in the game and throughout the course of the season. So you try and bat those guys as far up in the lineup as you want to. The only reason why I just keep thinking Bregman at the top of the lineup as a 1 or possibly as a 2 is, one, I really like the idea of if you're going to have Matt Shaw at the bottom, you're going to have that turnover factor where you just get yourself into the scenario of Matt Shaw gets on base, Alex Bregman single, you got a first and third with your best guys coming up too as well. The other one, Kyle, is that I just feel like, and you're right, that Alex Bregman is not Kyle Tucker. This is 100% true. But what Kyle Tucker brought to the team to help out his teammates throughout the offensive lineup, I think Bregman can do a facsimile of that, which is, I really think Alex Bregman, what one of his secret little skills is, what his secret sauce is, I think he's an annoying at bat, dude. I think he
100%.
fouls off pitches. I think he knows the zone really well. And I think he wears opposing pitchers out. So what I just like Kyle Tucker is I want to see those 6, 7, 8 pitch at bats to kind of open it up. And if Alex Bregman gets on base, the opposing pitcher is just like, man, that was a pain in the ass. And now you all of a sudden, maybe you're grooving that fastball to PCA or Bush, and they're getting their opportunities to be aggressive early in counts and attack. And that's where I think Bregman can also play a role too as well.
Yeah, that I'll be honest though, you bring up a point that does concern me a little bit. And friend of our show, I know friend of your show as well, Lance Brzezowski brought this to my attention about a year and a half ago. And that is, Bregman's 2023 season, he went from walking 92 of his 700 plus plate appearances to in 24 only walking 44 of his 634 plate appearances. And then this last year, 51 walks in just under 500. So he got a little bit better, but I mean, there was like 3 or 4 years though, where he almost had 100 walks or surpassed 100 walks in a season. And I don't like that trend of like not walking as much. His contact rate is still good. His on base is still very good, 360 last year, but it's just something to keep an eye on. And I have to give Lance that credit because I wouldn't even have looked at that.
And Joey mentioned how he's an annoying at bat, right? Yes. At times. I just wanted to point out that Tucker too at sometimes was an annoying at bat for different reasons.
Oh yeah.
Ground ball to second, and the inning is over, ladies and gentlemen.
Ground ball to first. Tucker is already on the way back to the dugout.
Yeah, oh man.
So they made this big move. They made the trade for Cabrera, which I really like. And again, there's some risk with that trade, right? And then we'll see how it goes. I think there's a lot of upside. Real quickly, what's the last addition you want to see? We're both pro trying to get Zac Gallen on that rotation.
Yeah, I know. It's funny, whoever you ask about this. I don't know that I think like Zac Gallen is going to be the quote unquote missing piece. I think a legit closer would be the missing piece, but we're kind of past that at this point. I don't even know that there's any trades being talked about. If you can get Zac Gallen, if you can get him at 15 a year for like, call it 2 years with a team opt out or whatever, a player opt out after year 1, I think that's such a low risk, go for it thing. And I mean, you've already signed Shota to $22 million. That's already a higher risk than Zac Gallen at $15 million. I think this roster is about as set as it's going to be, minus a surprise in Zac Gallen, minus a really good piece in a McGill and Duhar. And I just wish that we would have gotten one of those top end relievers this offseason. Maton is fine, but when you hear that Devin Williams was pretty much like just waiting for the Cubs to give him an offer and they didn't do it, that's a little bit disappointing. Long story short, my missing piece is going to be the closer, and I think it's going to happen at the trade deadline.
Where, just to follow up on that, what is your confidence level on Hunter Harvey, where I don't think he's as well known to Cubs fans right now, but internally they seem to be really excited about him. Do you think he could give Daniel Palencia a run for his money in terms of those last 3 outs, or at least be that kind of out-getter that they were looking for from with Brad Keller last year?
Quick story for you. I had Tyler Zombro on the podcast last year, and I'm trying to get him back on this year, and I want to ask him exactly what you just asked. I asked him last year, who do you think is going to make the biggest impact on this team that is a new reliever? And he was like, tie between Caleb Thielbar and Brad Keller. And how on was he, right? I want to ask him the same thing because I don't know enough about Hunter Harvey. They signed this other big 6'8" guy who's been playing in the independent league the last few years and used to play on the Nationals and a few other teams. Like they just have all those wild cards again that you're just like, I want to see what they've got, but I would rather ask Tyler, like, who is he most optimistic about? So to answer your question though, I mean, I think the bullpen is going to be the same thing it's been the last few years. They signed a bunch of guys. They're going to figure out who the players are. They just don't know what innings or what roles they're going to fit in until May. And we're probably going to have a few more games like we have the last few years in April, where it's just like, why didn't they throw this guy? We could have saved the game. Why are they still going with Albert Alzolay version 3.0 as the closer? I think we're still going to go through some of those pains in April. And that's the only unfortunate thing about this current roster.
All right, we are talking to the setup man, Kyle. Check out his podcast, and we appreciate his time. We're going to continue here because I want to get your take on something, both of you. So it is time for the original take, brought to you by Hooters. Cheer on your favorite teams from any of the 11 Chicagoland Hooters locations. OriginalHooters.com. All right, Ian Happ, we were looking at lists, and everybody was mad because MLB Network put out this list of top 100 players, and Nico Hoerner's not on it. And we're all like, what are we talking about here? He's first or second best second baseman in all of baseball. How is he not on your top 100 list? Well, now they've put out their best left fielder list, okay? And this one is a little more palatable. The fan vote has Ian Happ fourth on their list of left fielders in baseball, and the shredder, as they like to call it, has him at number 6 in all of baseball. Now, the Laminator ranked him number 1. I don't even know what that is. But the Chugginator, as we like to call it here at CHGO, the Chugginator, we're going to say he's number 3 in all of baseball. So I ask you, where does Ian Happ really fit in the list of left fielders in baseball? It's funny because I think the fan vote and the shredder vote, the Laminator doesn't exist. The shredder vote and the fan vote have a lot of variance. Like there's guys all over the place. Yordan Alvarez is on this list and he's not near the top. And you're like, okay, where do you put Cody Bellinger? Where do you put Ian Happ? Has won 4 straight Gold Gloves, and he always hits about 20, 25 home runs.
And the most important one, Kyle, is that Ian Happ's ahead of Jackson Churio. So how about that one?
Perfect. That's all I care about.
How do you make sense of that, Kyle?
I put zero emphasis on these lists, like absolutely nothing, because it's just a joke. I mean, I'm sorry to say, same thing with the Gold Glove after what happened last year, where you saw Dansby and not only get snubbed, but also Francisco Lindor not even be a top 3 finalist, and you give it to a guy with 16 errors and Mason Wynn. So I just think all these lists, all these awards outside of MVP and Cy Young are just kind of a joke. But I mean, if you want to look at these lists, I think Ian Happ should be in the top 5 based on the fact of just the glove and the defense alone, and the fact that he's just so consistent. Look at the numbers. Just go look at the numbers every year. I mean, if you look at 25 versus 24, he's like percentage points off on his slash line. He's just the same player every year at the plate. And I think a lot of Cubs fans get frustrated that he doesn't come up in big spots, or he's not that like legit number 3 hitter that they try to fit him into every once in a while, but he's just a good, solid player. And so I think somewhere in the top 5 is a good spot.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Look, and that's the thing about it, Kyle, is that when you have these conversations about Ian Happ, the lack of variance can sometimes have people sort of skip over like the nuance of how incredible that is, right? Because there's not a whole lot. There's not a lot of places to go with Ian Happ. Like we're all going to say, yeah, he's going to hit about 20 bombs. He's going to drive in about 80 runs. He's going to score about 80 runs. He's going to have about 30 doubles. He's going to have a slump that's going to really make you mad, but he's going to get white hot in August, and everything's going to be fine, right? It's like water is wet. I think I'm just trying to get in the mindset of the Cubs, right? Where there's an interesting like influx of younger players that they've graduated over the last year, right? And some of them like Cade Horton, PCA. I even consider Michael Busch a fairly young player too as well, and maybe a Matt Shaw. But this group is filled with veteran-laden players, and a lot of them are heading into walk years. So the Cubs, with a lot of money coming off the books, are going to have a lot of decisions to make about either bringing some of these guys back or turning the page on some of these players. And Ian Happ, I think, is a really interesting case. And I guess I'll phrase it to you like this. From where you sit right now, if Ian Happ puts up another Ian Happ season, do you think that's enough for the Cubs to want to stay in the Ian Happ business? Or do you think he maybe has to have a little bit of that pop walk year a little bit? Like, does he have to maybe hit 30 bombs to make a really compelling case that that the Cubs should, re-up him, whatever that number might look like, 2-3 years, 20 million, whatever that is?
I think this question goes a lot deeper than just how does Ian Happ perform in 2026. I think, first of all, the CBA has a lot to do with it, because you are assuming right now that Ian Happ is not going to be 1 year older when they see him on the field next. He's going to be 2 years older. That's number one. Number two is I originally was like, I think the Cubs are going to be ready to move on from Ian Happ because he's just not that like impact player. But when you look at the 2027 outfield free agents, like name me 2 other guys that are going to be better than Ian Happ that they have a legitimate chance to go get. I mean, Ronald Acuna.
Hernandez.
Right.
Say that again?
I said like an older Teoscar Hernandez. Yeah, like the options aren't awesome.
Yeah. No, they're not. I mean, you got Ronald Acuna's on there, but the Braves are probably going to pick up that option. And then after that, it's Luis Robert, it's Randy Arozarena, it's George Springer, it's Adolis Garcia, Trent Grisham, Nick Castellanos. The list goes on with just kind of like blog guys like that outside of Taylor Ward and maybe like Lourdes Gurriel Jr. You're just kind of like, I think Ian Happ, I'd rather take him than any of those guys. So, if you're talking about from a performance standpoint, yeah, if he has a big year, it just kind of becomes a no-brainer. But from just like an option standpoint, it's going to be tough to walk away from Ian Happ plus Seiya Suzuki after next year. I think they're going to keep at least one of them.
Plus, Ian Happ was drafted by the Cubs. Will he be willing to do some sort of hometown discount? Would I be happy with Ian Happ finishing his career as a 4th outfielder for the Cubs? Like, we don't really know what's going to go on behind the scenes. I just have always said on our show that, like, I feel Ian Happ is one of the most polarizing players on the Cubs for the fan base. And I think Dansby Swanson's the other one. Fans either love Ian Happ or he drives them crazy. Fans either love Dansby Swanson and the perfect hair, or that he drives them crazy.
And he still has perfect hair.
And he still has the perfect hair, so that's more than I can say. Yeah. So I ask you this question because I know that this question will make some people's head explode. And I like to do that every once in a while. I like to, ignite a little bit.
Put your helmet on.
Ian Happ versus Nico Hoerner. Who's the better player?
Nico. It's not. I don't even think it's a question.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. I'm not even close on that.
You're not. You don't even have to hesitate for a second.
Yeah, I mean, if you put as much emphasis into WAR as the Cubs front office do, then you look and you see that Nico is consistently almost twice as much of a WAR player as Ian Happ. Add on top of that the speed, the base running, the the glove to me is massively better because of all the stats, but also, I mean, Ian Happ has won 4 Gold Gloves in a row because he's a left fielder. Like, let's just be honest. Like,
he's playing what they're telling him to play.
Yeah.
He does a great job. A Gold Glove.
He does a great job. But if you look at the left field opponents for Gold Glove, there's not many out there that you'd be like, oh, that guy's a really good fielder. So Ian Happ is like in a category where it's very much like a no-brainer that he's a Gold Glover, in my opinion. And then from just you talked about it. I'm old school. I like contact. I like gritty at bats. I like that just like hustle on 110% on every single pitch. And that's Nico. So for that reason, all those reasons, I just think it's no question. I think Nico was our MVP last year. I really do.
Yeah. Well, for the start of the bell to the end. I mean, we could go through every player in that lineup and say that there was some sort of valley that matched with a peak, right? And Nico just cut right through that, like from the top all the way to the bottom. I love Nico Hoerner. I mean, I want to God, I can't even play the game. You know what I mean? The contrarian game of, I think the contrarian game would be at the very least, like on its face, like Ian Happ's on base percentage has been better at times. Like Nico's about a 33% on base percentage. A lot of that has to do with his batting average. And maybe Ian Happ's a switch hitter, but I can't. That's it. That's all I got. That's it. I mean, yeah, Nico pound for pound is just a better player. And maybe also to Ian Happ's credit with the Gold Gloves, I mean, he is always up there in assists. So you still got to throw those guys out, right? Like I understand that sometimes there's a default of just the position itself, but he's got to throw those guys out. But yeah, no, it's Nico. I think it's Nico by a good margin.
I do too. I think it's Nico, but let me just throw out some devil's advocate that says, okay, but this is why it could be closer than maybe some of the anti-Happers would like to admit. And I'm not calling us that. I'm just saying they're out there, okay? Ian Happ projected F4 for next year, 2.8. Nico Hoerner, 3.9. Exactly what you're saying. If you're going by F4, there's more value there. Ian Happ, 116 WRC plus to 109 WRC plus. You're talking about basically the hitter stat that people go by. 23 home runs versus 9 home runs. It's become a home run league. I agree. I love everything that Kyle's saying. I love the contact, the grit, the stolen bases, but 23 home runs versus 9. OBP, it's 342 to 345.
Yeah.
Gold Gloves, 4-2. Like, I agree. My eye test tells me I'd rather see Nico Hoerner. If somebody was going to be missing a day, I'd rather see the person being Ian Happ. But just to make heads explode, it might not be as crazy as what we thought.
But maybe nail in the
coffin. What about runners in scoring position?
Yeah, well, he was the best. He was the best last year.
I was about to say, nail in the coffin, right? Bases loaded, 1 out. Who would you rather have up, Nico Hoerner or Ian Happ? And I think I'm going Nico Hoerner every time.
Let me ask you an even better question, and it can just be a one-word answer because I know we're tight on time here. Ian Happ or Seiya Suzuki?
Ooh.
Wow.
It's tough, right?
Higher potential for Seiya.
I take Seiya's talent. I think there's so much talent in Seiya. I don't even think we've seen it. I don't really think we've seen spurts of Seiya Suzuki and the way that he can dominate and the way that he was able to. Obviously, he played great in the playoffs. He was our most consistent, most dangerous hitter. I'm buying Seiya's talent, even though, man, he gets so confusing sometimes.
But we'll find out who's a better outfielder this season, it appears. Yeah. Thanks to Kyle, the setup man. You want to how often do you do the podcast? When's the next one?
Yeah. We're doing 3 times a week right now. And then during the season, we do series recaps. But should be having a really cool guest on next week. A little teaser there. He's been very heavy in all the reports this offseason. So excited to have that certain person on next week. So little tease there. Go follow the podcast and the YouTube channel, and you'll see who I'm talking about.
Thanks, Kyle. Have a great offseason. Hope to talk to you again before the season starts. Appreciate it.
Super appreciate it.
We're going to take a quick break here on the CHGO Cubs podcast. When we come back, a live guest that will help you change lives.
Hey, Cubs fans, Hooters right now, they're ringing in the new year with dry January because you're looking to be a little less saucy this month. Get your life in order. Well, Hooters has got your back. They've got the Black and Dry Rub right now that pairs perfectly with a non-alcoholic beer like Mick Ultra Zero and a refreshing mocktail like the Red Bull Strawberry Smash made with Red Bull and strawberry syrup. So stick to your resolutions at Hooters. It's the best lunch spot in town. On weekdays, it doesn't get any better than their $9.99 or less faves like boneless wings, OG wings, blackened chicken Caesar salad, the original burger, and more. Available every Monday through Friday, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And for the Super Bowl, pack it in, everybody, with the Field Goal Party Pack that includes 20 traditional wings, 20 boneless wings, 2 orders of fries or tots, 4 blue ranch or blue cheese dressings or dippings, or the Touchdown Bundle. 50 traditional wings, 50 boneless wings, 4 orders of fries or tots, and 8 ranch or blue cheese dressings. So right now, cheer on your favorite teams and get ready for that Super Bowl with 11 great Chicagoland locations. Hooters, it's the place to go. Go to Hooters.com to find your party next today.
Omaha, Omaha. Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. Enjoy USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, cozy and convenient comfort foods, plus tailgating favorites like chicken wings, smash burgers, and big deli-style Franks. Right now, they have a red-hot sales event. You can get 50% off site-wide, plus an extra $35 off for our fans when you use the promo code CUBS at checkout. My next order is going to be the private reserve fillets, some halibut steaks, which are perfection, and the apple tartlets, which are beautiful. Every steak perfectly aged. Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917. Family owned for over 100 years. Get fired up for grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during the Red Hot sales event and an extra $35 for our fans. Promo code CUBS at checkout. Don't miss this deal. Welcome back to the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by Toyota. We're here with a special guest. You've been following the podcast. You know that we have teamed up with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. And we have a special guest in Jeremy Foster, Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Metropolitan Chicago CEO. Thanks for coming in. And one of the reasons you're here today, besides being a Cubs fan, I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but also this is National Mentoring Month. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep. Every January, National Mentoring Month.
So first of all, how do we celebrate that? You know, that's the easiest question. How do we celebrate Mentoring Month?
Yeah, and I was talking earlier. First off, thank you for having me on and getting the exposure to the folks that are watching today. It's really about learning more about becoming a big brother or big sister. And that's what National Mentoring Month is. First, shine a light on the power and impact of mentoring, but then also give you the opportunity and share the opportunity that you have to be in a young person's life. You know, Carm on the Bears podcast is a big brother, new big brother, which is awesome. And so, that's what it's about, shining a light on the impact and the opportunity people have to get involved.
Well, we're very proud partners to be with you guys, at least over the last year or so now. Yep. So our partnership's been for a while. What I love about when we say the word like mentorship, and what I love about Big Brothers and Big Sisters is, of course, we would advocate and encourage everyone to get involved today. But you also say that even if it isn't the right timing in your life, just checking out the website and seeing what you guys offer is half the game, because being a mentor, like a lot of us have mentors and people in my life like that can help me and that I learn from. I mean, I learn from this guy like all the time. But when you have an opportunity to take what someone else gives to you and then give it back to someone else, that chain reaction is really what life is all about. So just talk about like if someone wants to get involved or doesn't, just checking out the website is half the game of getting involved with mentorship.
Yeah, you couldn't be more spot on. It really is about that. Just equip yourself with the information, what it is, what it isn't, because we've been around for 124 years now, 120 years now, 121. What we know is the first thing that is a barrier is the time. People think about the time like it's insurmountable. And the second is worthiness. So from the time perspective, yes, it is a commitment. We don't shy away from that. But once you're matched, the young person just becomes part of your life, and what you do on, every other weekend or whatever that's what it is. It's a couple times a month, a few hours each time, actually doing things you would enjoy as a big and also what your little would enjoy. And we provide a ton of opportunities for the time. You're right. Just get to know what the time truly is. And then the worthiness piece too. And this is what I want to mention to folks is anybody can be big. You got a heart, you got a positive attitude. You're a good person. Right? That's what it is. Because it's the consistency of you showing up, But you got to start with just equipping yourself with the information, because we know a lot of folks come to us and it might be 6 months to a year later. Then they come back in like, you know what, I'm ready. I learned what it is and I really want to take this serious. So you're 100% right. Just find out more.
I was going through the website and looking at some of the information before you came in today, and I thought, to me, the most shocking one, 74% of young adults lack access to a mentor. Like, if we're trying to build our community, if we're trying to build the next generation, if we're trying to make it a better country, a better city, you have to start with the kids. And if 75% almost don't have access to somebody they can look up to or ask questions to or feel like they can be helped by or they can talk to you, I mean, what are we doing? I'm
glad you brought that up. Do we agree that's unacceptable?
Totally unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. But the good news is we can do something about it. You know, we live in a community that loves to give back. And that's why I like these opportunities. It's just reminding people the opportunity you have. Because you're right. Some of it is, we say there's mentor deserts and other stuff like that. A lot of it is just people don't really know either the opportunity they have to get involved. And that's why these opportunities are important, is because we let people know the opportunity they have to get involved. And we're going to do something about it. Right? We're here to do something about that.
Do you, when you look back on your own life, is there a specific mentor for you that you always kind of hearken back to, or are there a lot of different mentors? Because again, like I just want to really drill into people that when you talk about the worthiness thing, and we talk about our own inner self-critic, right? And we're always looking in the mirror, criticizing, and I wouldn't be a fit. Like, I can't impart something to somebody else. Like, that is simply just not true, because we all need each other to support each other. So is there a specific mentor for you, or is it a collection of mentors in your life that not only got you involved with this, but also kind of instructs your work today?
Yeah, I've blessed first mom and dad that set the foundation.
Yeah.
Right. Because then those that pour into me outside of that, it takes hold sooner. Right. So every child can benefit. It just depends on where you're at, what your ecosystem is. So I had a strong ecosystem of a mom and dad that set the right foundation. Then it was, through sports, teachers that would just say something to you. And actually one of the most profound, she was about 5'2", 70-something years old. She watched me grow up in this community center. She was the director there, Miss Yates. And she was one of the biggest in my life. This is why I'm here and sitting in front of you today, is I was the first to go to college. I was going to be an accountant business, because government cheese food stamp kid, when you're poor, you want to make a lot of money. But she sat me down one night. I would drive her home because she couldn't see. And she said, "Kiddo, whatever it's worth, you'd be great running this place someday," meaning the community center I grew up in. She's so big, small physically, but in my mind, this big. And somebody just saying that
just to a you, sentence.
Just a sentence because of who it was.
Yeah.
I just I couldn't get it out of my head. I wound up running the community center, which led me to Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Wow, that's a great story. When I found that stat that was on the website, the 74% I was talking about, that the kids don't have access to a mentor, then I started thinking about, as you said, unacceptable. That's horrible. And then you think about the things that have happened over the last 15 years to our society, and you think, how did COVID impact this? Shutting kids in their houses. I see 20% of young people from 3 to 17 have mental, emotional, development, or behavioral disorders. And then I see the one that impacts my little kids, right? And I know that I look at it and say, youth spend an average of 7 hours a day on screens. I can see the difference. I can see the difference when they're on it for 90 minutes. And it's just like, head explodes at a young age if you're watching that much. There's no way that being on a screen 7 hours a day is going to make us a better society, better country, better city, better community. So how does Big Brothers Big Sisters help get those kids away from those screens? Because I get it. It's fun to sit there and play video games, but you can't do it for 7 hours a day, or we're going nowhere.
Great question. I'm going to come back to that in a second, but it really is about meeting kids where they're at. And you nailed it kind of earlier, is there's no substitute for human connection. And in fact, 2 years ago, it was released by the Surgeon General. We are a more connected society than in the history of humankind. Yet loneliness has skyrocketed. I'm not making this up.
No.
You can go read this. It is proven. We are dealing with the largest mental health crisis of young people. COVID exacerbated it, but we know these things. And
Social
you know how
media?
you get 100%.
Yeah.
That's how you get kids away is the phone is not out when they're with their big. And I would say the same thing about the bigs too. We could all, because I asked when some folks like, I don't have the time, sometimes jokingly, it's not ever a gotcha, as I said, check your screen time. Yeah. Can you take an hour and a half of that screen time and spend it with a kid? And I will guarantee you the return on that time is going to be far greater. But it's human. That's how you stop it, is human connection. Because once you do that over time, you're less likely to pick that up and more likely to have a conversation or look forward to that next time you're going to be with your big. It's always about us. Humans are always the solution to human problems and social problems.
Yeah, well, 100%. Like, I mean, you could skim through 10,000 reels and you'll remember 2 of them. But if you have an exchange with someone or a joke or whatever, you take that with you and then you tell the next friend, I heard something funny or I had this great story or this great interaction. Like, that sticks with you forever. That stays in your memory. And also, I want to ask you about with Big Brothers Big Sisters. Let's just talk a little bit about how sports play a role too, as well, in terms of like screen time and everything, right? Like, the reason why I get the opportunity to do what I do is I love sports because I like to see my team win and we all like to high five and stuff. But like, sports for young kids is just such the perfect platform to learn about so many different things in life, about succeeding, failing, teamwork, sacrifice, learning, like trying to get better at something every single day. So in terms of when we're talking about getting kids off screens and stuff and that mentorship, well, how does sports also play a role in Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Oh, it's intertwined. That's why we launched Big Sports about 3 years ago, and we have 3 pillars. It's participate, spectate, and explore. First, we want you to participate, and we say sport and play. We just go out and be active, do a bunch of stuff with your big, and it's not about being good at it. Just go do it and be active and see what you like. So that's spectate, participate. Spectate is we have awesome partnerships. Bulls, Bears, Cubs, Sox. We get to send matches to games. Go and see what it's like. We want to build that fandom up. It's awesome when you feel that way, like you described. And then the explore is, we know the percentages. Very few are going to make it on the court or on the field. But there's jobs. Right? Every sport team has a job.
Are you trying to get rid of my job?
No. But we're talking about the next generation.
You're right. Absolutely.
And so you're spot on. And it plays a significant piece, not only for what you had said but we know when you're physically active and doing those things, we know what that does to your mind and how you're settled a little bit more. So it actually hits all those pillars you want in adolescence and positive youth development.
Yeah. Now, that said, we all love sports. We all love baseball. We all love the Cubs. There's still things for kids to do with their big that don't involve sports, right? Like, I mean, that's how we're connected. But the truth is, not everybody loves sports, and there's still a fit for that too. You might be somebody that's out here watching this and you're a sports fan, but your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever, might not be into that, and they might be a fit for a different youth, right?
100%. My wife has been matched. We have our own kids, grandchild. My wife she'll be celebrating 7 years with her little. Her little could care less about sports. Yeah. Sure. My wife raising boys, she's all into sport, but half
the game is to get to the determination when you don't care about sports, because then you find other interests. Like, that's 100%. Part of life. Like, you try stuff and then you realize that's not for me, and then you go in a different direction.
That's exactly right. I mean, kids come to us all these different interests, and that's the beauty of it, is people come to us too that don't. They have these interests, and that's how we connect people, is based on those shared interests. And a lot of it is outside of sport, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I just think it's a great partnership, and it's a great thing that you're doing for a living, right? Like, you're here helping out kids, and obviously, just based on the stats we're looking at, it's a huge, huge problem. How many kids are we talking about that need a big now in Chicago, just in our area? How many kids need mentorship? Because if you tell me 74%, wow, you're talking about a lot of kids.
Yeah. So, and it's like 1 in 3 too need a mentor. So if you just put that data point alone, just with Chicago Public Schools, 300-something thousand kids, that shows you. But then we serve 4 counties. So if you take that out, it's like, oh my gosh, the need is great. But you got to zero in on the pockets where you're at and just keep growing it match by match, which we're doing. Right now, actively in our system, we have about 500 kids actively. But we know If we went out and opened up the floodgates and said, hey, everybody sign up, it would grow to the thousands very fast. We strategically don't do that because we don't want a kid waiting on the wait list for a year or 2 years, which was happening to us before. If you were a young African-American boy on the South Side, you'd be on the wait list for 2 years. But given what we've done to penetrate and be in the neighborhoods more, when we launched our Drive for 5 to scale to 5,000 kids, we matched him in 2 months. So we're doing something about it, but we have to be very targeted too, because you don't want a child waiting that long, because that sets in. They know they've signed up. Their parents signed them up.
I'm not wanted or something.
There
like
you
that.
go.
Yeah. It's me. I'm the
me.
reason. I'm the reason.
You can't do that.
When that's not true at all.
You can't do it.
Well, Jeremy, man, thank you so much for not only partnering with CHGO, but coming on our show to tell the good people. If you can, just follow up, let people know how they can continue to get involved, or just check out Big Brothers Big Sisters, and also tell us how many games are the Cubs going to win this year.
They're going to win 95 games.
Yeah, 95.
We're gonna be in there.
I love
Let's
it.
go.
Hey, come back again, will you?
Please, if you'd have me.
Absolutely, we will. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Until next time, don't forget, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.